the assessment level, which is presently proposed at a $70 increase per unit. And the second resolution is the method of collection, which I think you all understand that. So at this time, it's open for the board's discussion and direction.
Go ahead, Mike, if you want to.
Or we want to talk about the resolution, or can we clarify some of the points?
Yes, you can deliberate your budget.
With regards to, coming in here and the gentleman from Filipino Estates, who came in and assumed that we were hiring our cousins or whatever, that is not the way it works.
He was just emotional.
That's fine. I know. I'm one of the more emotional board members, so they can attest to that. We are always trying to follow as best as we can and get input from you. Have we made major cuts? We have. We don't have a Waterstone Living magazine anymore. We've cut. We had a roving police program, which eventually we felt was no longer an added security benefit. It was becoming more of a subsidy for the city. We cut that as well. I think up to what, 50, 60%?
About 40%.
40%. We had Christmas. We have Christmas lights. The year we had the hurricane, we completely abolished the majority of Christmas lights.
It was $25,000 that you guys cut.
Right.
I wasn't on the board.
You were very unhappy.
Yes, I was.
And the same way you were very, unhappy, a lot of homeowners were unhappy. I wasn't happy having to do it. But we had to do it. There was no way, there was no other way around it. Same way Miguel just said, we utilized our reserves to do a major cleanup. A major cleanup was not the 4, 5, 10 trees you saw in Waterstone Way. It's the lakes. It's the easements behind all the way around Waterstone, outside of Waterstone.
Root grindings.
Root grinding,
So
the boulevard.
I haven't said a whole lot tonight because I'm not going to sit here and defend the budget. I do not support the increase in this budget, the $70. In looking at it and looking at where we've been and where we want to go, I don't believe we're in crisis mode, as one of the speakers tonight described it. We can take this budget, we can pare down some of these categories that are frankly increases compared to what we actually spent, and we can make it work without increasing it. And in doing so, we would not have to significantly reduce the services that we have here. I think we could do it so that we can maintain the level that we have without there being a real noticeable difference as you drive down Waterstone Way. It can be done. As I think some others have generally described it, I'm a firm believer that at my house I have to live within my budget. And when I sit down here on this board, I believe this board should have to live within its budget as well. And I don't believe that it needs to be increased here. One of the big categories that is on here, though, and I do want to address this one, is the enhanced security that we do have, the off-duty police officers that we have coming around through here. And as Mr. Lopez has discussed it here, we've cut it back quite a ways from where it used to be. And that's a big line item. If you actually look at it, that's $270,000, almost $270,000 by itself, that we're paying Homestead Police Department to essentially do their job. We're subsidizing Homestead Police Department. And for that, you're paying an additional $116 a year right here. If we, and in addition to that, as part of your taxes that goes to the city, you're giving a police department, depending on the property values and whatnot, it's another $200. So essentially, as I see it, HPD, the city of Homestead, is double dipping, so to speak, on that. If we weren't having to pay that, we could reduce this significantly and still be able to have the level of services that we have. So that's one area where I think the city needs to step up, and because they haven't, we had to step in and subsidize them for it, and we have for a long time. The crime rates have went way down from where they're at. When it was put in place, there was a purpose for it. Crime was an issue. Crime was an issue citywide. The city crime rates have dropped. The Waterstone crime rates have dropped. And I don't see that that's something that we need to have, especially at the level that we have it at now. But ultimately, I have a problem, personally, approving any amount there, even though it does increase our security, because I think that the city is double dipping. And I think that's something that ultimately needs to go to our elected officials up there as well. But regardless.
I do appreciate that comment. However, and I've said it repeatedly, a lot of the damage that we had here because of the hurricane was because we have not spent enough money cutting down, crowning the trees during the clipping, because we do it in stages and we do it in phases and we do it by areas. And part of the reason for that increase, like I have told you before, is how do we pick which houses these trees are gonna fall onto next hurricane? So we do need to address the crowning of these trees. These trees are older than what, 10, 12 years? And they will fall. We cannot continue to do this in stages, because if not, we're gonna have them here asking why it is that we didn't protect their homes from our trees falling on their rooftops. So that is the reason why I do agree with maybe not $70, but some increase to at least cover that tree trimming. The other thing is, yes, I agree, we shouldn't be subsidizing the cost, but what is our option? To not have a roving police here that we are paying for and have them exposed to being burglarized again, and have this be a lollapalooza for all the people who are burglarizing homes? I know, I wish they will all go with us and picket at City Hall and demand that we get the amount of cops that we want. But we cannot even get our representative, Elvis Maldonado, to show up here to our town hall to listen to our concerns. So if we could get people to go with us and tell the city, hey, this is what we're seeing, we're paying so much on our end, double, because nobody supports when we go to city council to fight for the communication.
They don't know communication.
It's all in the city council's meetings. They don't communicate with us. They even moved the city meetings to 4 o'clock so that nobody can show up. So it is not our communication, it is their communication. So if we could get a group of you people to go with us, we could further decrease this. But this is a service that I cannot go without. I have 4 children at home. You have children at home. I want them to play freely on the street. We need the cops. We need them. Whether we have to pay double for that or not, I mean, this is really simple.
I don't see
Which
police here.
services do you not want to see? Because we're,
No security guards.
excuse me, sir, this is our portion. I'm talking to the board. So those are part of the things. The lights. I know that it sounds like a.
And our representative, I don't see him here tonight. I haven't
He
seen
never
him in any of
comes.
our meetings in a while, and that's a problem. We can go knock on City Hall's door all day long, but unless and until we get real representation there, it's not gonna change. It's something that needs to be done. It's got to be done. And just like several people here said tonight, vote us off. I look forward to as well to look at the city representatives, what they're providing to us or not, especially with respect to police, because that's $116 a year right there off the top. If that even wasn't anything else. Just doing kind of a cursory review of the budget and making some changes here. I mean, I could cut off $100,000 pretty easy without significantly changing what the level of services that we have. When we start looking at what we actually spent last year, what we expect to need to spend this year, it could be done. That in and of itself would come out to about $44.50 a house. Not quite all the way to 70, but that's a pretty short review of it. If we were to really dig in here deeper, we wouldn't have to make significant cuts to get rid of that 70.
So you wouldn't want to allocate that to lighting our entrances and our community? That seems to be a really hot spot for people who jog at night. Lights out, not feeling safe because of how dark it is along Waterstone Way at night, and the boulevard especially.
There's plenty of other flexibility in here that we can move these numbers around and do, providing light for a relatively short period of time. Maybe not giving you all of the light, or maybe not giving the community all the light that it needs in the next 2 months. But we can do it over a couple of years without making any significant changes, without passing a large increase here, or an increase at all.
Okay, so how do we replenish the reserves? Okay, well, we need to replenish.
We do. But like I said, it doesn't have to be throwing out the $70 increase.
Yeah,
That was a
that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. You ready?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna stand up because I don't like talking when I'm sitting down. So, everyone here is talking about reducing the expenses. Take from here to pay for that. What happens to the portion we're taking from while we're putting it somewhere else? It's called deferred maintenance. So what happens with deferred maintenance? We end up paying 3 or 4 times the amount that it will cost us if we have the funds available to pay for that maintenance. And that's what we're dealing with today, and we're dealing with every single day. Is we can't do this year, we're gonna wait for next year. Perfect example was the flags. We couldn't do it, we didn't have the funds, we needed to wait. Well, it turned from 30 to 60. So now we're talking 30 to $60,000. 92. So it continues, the rounds continue to grow. Root pruning, yes, we have to root prune. Everything's being root pruned prior to those items being placed there. We know that. It costs money. It's all being looked at. So for me to say I don't want to increase, I'm not gonna say that I don't want to increase. I can't say that. It would not be responsible for me to say I'm not gonna increase the funds because you guys are upset. I have to make a decision based on the fact that we need to make sure that we're prepared. So if something happens in the future, I can take care of you guys. We can come in through the community. We can take care of the trees. Something falls down, a major hole opens up the ground. We need to have those funds available for you guys, because you can't come into your community. Guess what? You guys are gonna have to come, right? I've been living in Waterstone for 14 years. 14 years. So I've seen it all. I bought my house in 2005 in Christmas. Pitch black. We had no lights, we had no gates, we had no cops, we had nothing. The first thing I did is went to the meeting. The very first meeting. Right. Exactly. Went to the first HOA meeting. No one showed up. This is what they did to me. They threw the books. Congratulations, you're on the board. I had no experience on being on any single board ever. That's how I started in 2005.
But you don't feel it as much because you're an old homeowner.
No, I feel it just as much. You know
You've
why?
already
Because I
paid
paid a
down
lot
your
more
house.
for my house than you pay for
You
yours.
paid down your house.
No, I paid a lot more for my house than you pay for yours. So it's difficult. It's difficult for me to make this decision. So just so that you know something about me, I have 2 kids in college. This increase is just as bad as every single one of you sitting here. It's difficult. It is difficult. Whether you believe me or not, it has no sense. So it's hard for me. $70 is a lot of money. Now, can I commit for a little bit less today? Absolutely. But I cannot leave tonight without committing to some type of an increase to be able to refund or replace some of the funds that are missing where we're having to lack on all the maintenance that's sitting there deferred and increasing costs.
Right now, the striping, because we haven't taken care of the striping along the community, now everything has deteriorated. So now instead of doing sections of striping, we're gonna have to attack striping of everything in Waterstone at one time. And it's gonna
Nobody
be
knows nothing here. Only they know. That's
and
fine.
that's not there.
Yeah. Take a look at the minutes.
Guys, time out. We're not gonna be able to make a record. Please help us. Just
you
let
guys-
them do their thing. They
If
gotta
you guys
talk.
take the time, South Bay Ventures CDD, all the meeting minutes are there. All the projects that we're talking about that are being deferred, they're all there. Everything that we need to do is there. It's in writing. We bid every single project out. We go to Ben, and Ben comes with 3 bids. And let's just say he says, this one's 50,000, this one's 60,000, this is 70,000. Well, we don't like that company. Let's see if we can get something better. And then they come back and they give us another offer. And we find it at 35,000, but maybe they're not as great. What do? We'll approve 35,000 and we'll tell Ben, go to the company that's the better company and have them do it for 35,000. That's what we do here every single meeting. That's what we do every single meeting. Exactly. Every single meeting. And if you guys don't like it, vote me out. I've been doing this for a very long time because I love this community and I care for every single one of you. Every single one of you.
I think
Can I speak?
Yes.
So I'm having like PTSD because my first meeting on this board was at a meeting just like this. My first meeting was 2007, and we had to It was a discussion about raising everybody's taxes, and we had a room full of happy people coming out to address their concerns.
I was the happiest at that.
Mike was definitely the happiest multiple times, but it's great that you all are out here, and we're very appreciative. I wish, as we've done so many things in this community, we could get this type of turnout for doing something awesome in the community. The Christmas tree lighting event we've been doing for the last couple of years, really brings out the community, because we are on this board about community and about our perspectives being aligned with your perspectives. And so it's cool that we have this opportunity to be able to have this process, because I know you guys are saying that the documents, could have been, labeled a little bit differently. We've got statutes we've got to follow. There's processes, but we try to do the best with information as we give, that out on the websites, along the Waterstone way. Our meeting minutes are posted, so we do our best to get all this information out, as to not have an angry mob. I guess if not, you guys are a mob, that'd be pretty good. Having this type of a frustrated crowd come to us with concerns about, why are you raising this? So, we do. And it's all, like I said, this is my perspective. You guys have your perspectives. We have our budget, you have your budget. Sometimes budgets don't work out very well, right? Sometimes your budget that you planned on, there's accidents that come up, there's incidentals that all of a sudden just jumped on it, and wow, where do we get the money for them? Sometimes we go to credit cards, sometimes you go ask for a friend for borrowing some money, but we've got to, if there's a DEFCON 7 thing that happens, we've got to address it. And if we continue taking money from other areas that are lacking in our district, it's gonna be this never-ending process. I remember I've been here since 2005. I've lived in Waterstone Estates since 2005. I showed up to a board meeting because I just want to be involved with the community, and I wanted being a treasurer, and there's no one else showed up. There's 5 people that showed up. Well, all 5 of us. Walter was in the community as well, so he was on the board back then as well. But I didn't know what I was getting into, and this word that kept popping up in my ears was fiduciary responsibility. And I don't know if you all know what that means, but
How much do you, if I were to give you a reserve analysis? Your reserve analysis is short about $400,000.
Right. So that
Today.
So if we were to try to put all that back, what would be the real
It would be about $180, $200
increase instead of a 70?
Right.
So we started at 200, I think it was.
If you ask me how to replenish it, what it would cost, it would be about $200 per person.
So when we started at 200. We worked our way down. We've already been looking at things and trying to make it work till we reached the number 70. It
Yes.
was the ongoing back and forth we had throughout a period of time.
Could not be articulated more clearly. Well,
So we started at 200 because that's the analysis that we get brought to the table, and the number we ended up with is 70. Not because we just threw the number, but we actually went back and forth, cutting back on things. So we, like I mentioned, we cut back on roving, right? We cut back on Christmas. At that 1 year.
But can I add, what happened when we cut back on roving?
What, the break-ins?
Right, we had the break-ins, right? So then now we have to go back and increase the roving officer so that we can take care of the problems we're having, and so we keep going back and forth.
Well, I think we have to
Yeah,
understand.
that's what they need to
There's a
understand.
history to this as well.
Yeah.
The reason why we have a roving program is because the city of Homestead does not have enough police officers hired. So at one point, we felt that we would use roving as an added benefit to us. And then eventually, we saw that at a certain point in time, the rover was no longer an added benefit. They were being utilized for emergency services in our site, so they would get pulled out. So we said, wait a second, this is no longer an added benefit. Now this has become a subsidy for the city. So we decided to draw back and cut back on it. As soon as we did have some pockets of problems. But regardless, I've always believed, as was majority of you, we should send a message as well, not have it as a subsidy. So regardless, we did cut back.
Mike, can I
Go ahead.
modify one? The history with the roving was we learned that they weren't able to staff it at a certain percentage. And so what we did was we reduced it to match what they were actually providing. And what that did was it just was a reality check. The officers weren't showing up at a 100% rate. We found out about 20 to 30% of the schedule was missing. So we shrank it to match that, and then lo and behold, we have almost 100% attendance.
Also, though, to add to that is a lot of the communities were subsidizing roving police officers on their own.
Yeah,
So-
two other things happened. Your sub-community started doing it on their own, and so did Malibu Bay.
Yeah.
They added the off-duty. So the area got saturated with off-duty at a much higher level, which you were the first to do that.
And so what we did is instead of having it on the HOAs, I mean, some still do, but the majority of them stopped because we had this program going around. So if you could split the cost of a 24-hour guard, police officer over 16 communities, it's gonna be well cheaper than doing it per community. So that's why that was another one of the pieces that we went that direction as well.
Yeah. Clarify one point, because it's been spread out around and next door, where they say that we have the world's safest roundabout, right? The officer's always sitting at the roundabout and is not doing their job. That is not true. That officer that is there is either taking care of some type of a report of an incident at the guard house, and then what they do is there's nowhere to park there, so they need to move, park in that area, and they complete their report. Or it could be that we just happen to get lucky and City of Homestead sent their officers out.
It's not a roving.
Right, that's not a roving police officer. Number two, the roving police officer is not always on a marked vehicle. That would be silly. We don't do that. There's different ways to tackle crime. So just because you didn't see the police officer in his squad car going around doesn't mean he wasn't there. Think about it. $3, is that gonna break anybody's bank? Maybe it could break my bank, but that's what we're talking about. We're talking about pennies.
But the question is not,
Please.
will it break anybody's bank? Because there's always gonna be somebody who answers that is yes.
Because that goes back to perspective. Everybody's perspective.
To ask in my humble opinion, to ask the question, will it break anybody's bank, suggests that the CCD or any governmental agency for that matter has a right to the money. And I never like that question because that's exactly, in my opinion, that's exactly what it is. It suggests that this board or any governmental agency has a right to the money. And so all they have to do is stick out their hand and say, hey, give me a little bit more, you don't really need it. When I'm looking at a budget, that's never the question I ask. I want to look at it as, what's the minimum budget that we need to be able to maintain the services that we want to provide? I mean, clearly that's important because Waterstone is a beautiful community. Right? I think most of us would agree with that. And we sure want to maintain that. And there's always going to be incidentals that you've talked about that comes up. Sometimes big incidentals come up that we have to make sure that we'll fit in the budget as well. But never do I look at it as, will it break the bank or not? The real question here is, what do we actually need to maintain the level of service? And as I've said earlier, I don't believe we need to increase it.
I agree. I hear you. But we've worked on this budget for 6 months, 7 months. We've talked about it. We've shrunk it. We've moved. We did this. We did that. I mean, we're going back to the drawing board to do what? What are we taking off? What are we removing? What are we doing? We know we need it. What are we doing? What is going to be deferred? What are we going to put to the side for next year? And how are we going to pay for that next year?
Well, I think there's
That's where I'm at.
you can look at. I mean, it's just a couple of examples, and I don't think it's worthwhile to go through every one.
No, I know, but it's just in general, that's what I'm saying.
You know, as one example, and Ms. Castro will probably kill me here.
Yes, don't touch my Christmas.
You know, we have over $120,000 in holiday decorations.
No, we don't.
No,
sir.
that's what's in the budget.
That's what's in the budget.
So, we have $120,900 in the budget. That's what the $70 is being compared to, is what's in the budget, not necessarily what we're spending. Which brings me to my next point. What we actually spent last year here was $99,000 and change. What we just approved earlier tonight for the holiday decorations was just under $100,000, 99
Correct.
and change on that one as well. And with that $99,775 that we approved earlier tonight for the holiday decorations, we actually got more decorations than we had last year.
Yes.
So, in the proposed budget here, we're increasing $21,000 over what we already approved that's bigger than last year. That's not cutting back services. To reduce this number here from 120,900 down to the 100,000 we actually spent is increasing services. So it's quite the contrary, and that's just one example on here.
Okay, so if we divide that by 2,269 homes, how much can we go down from $70?
I didn't do the exact calculation on that.
So we're looking
That's
at
one example.
roughly 77 cents. We found 77 cents.
Yeah, can I clarify that?
I mean,
don't
that's
mean to
what I'm
be
talking about.
contrary. There is a little technical detail in your Christmas lighting. You have a contract for the maintenance that goes through the January. And so the actual contract is for next year's cycle. You're finishing the cycle through this January, so it is 2020 money, and that's about 20,000. So it's an accurate number.
So after January, it's gonna go down to
Yeah, and
99.
the years don't line up nicely to make it clean math, but your 2020 budget, as approved to the $99,000 contract, is actually finishing last year's contract for another 20. So this time next year, you can reduce the budget to 99,000 for 2021.
Don't add it this year.
So,
I've been here all day. We're so tight, why can't we just, I mean, we don't need lights, we can just cut off lights, cut landscaping. We can do our own landscaping, we can buy our own lawnmower. I'm just saying, I live in a townhouse. The little thing is like a patch. You know,
This budget is not that tight. There is room for flexibility in here, and that's why I'm opposed
I'm trying to
to.
work it. You know, I understand, I'm just saying.
the district doesn't fit.
No, I understand.
Changing everything.
We need to get back. You guys don't want to be here until 4.
We're talking about lakes, we're talking about, drainage. Brad has already said no. I don't know where Ms. Castro stands.
I think we need it.
So Ms. Castro.
Even if I don't
so-
want to pay $70 a month, we need it.
$70 a year.
A year, sorry.
So now, Mr. Chairman, it's up to you now to take the control of the meeting again and bring us to.
No, we need to.
Let me just say one more thing so people understand why we need to make a decision today.
Yes.
It's gotta go on the tax rolls. We're out of time. If we don't do it today, it doesn't get passed. It doesn't go anywhere. $70 a year if we vote it in. Until we can hopefully get all the budgeting back in order, get some of the landscaping reviewed. But it's a hard.
Yo, I cannot understand what you're saying.
You're right.
To help you, I think Scott and I could clarify technically what you just said isn't exactly accurate, but it's not, it is mostly accurate. If you were to adjourn today's meeting and not vote on your budget, you would basically not be enacting a budget, and that would be a problem. If you recessed your meeting, there's certain parameters where you could do that and reconvene tomorrow or within a week or so, without re-advertising. Is that inaccurate? Help me, I don't remember.
The public hearing on the budget,
You
it
should.
requires a 30-day advertisement.
Yes, you would have time.
Been done, so you're out of time because by statute, as a governmental body, this board has to approve the budget by September 15th. There's not 30 days left to re-advertise it.
But Scott, correct me if I'm wrong. Even if we approve today the $70, we can a year, $70 a year, ladies. So if we do agree on the $70 a year, and we decide to revisit the budget, even though we cannot increase it, we can revisit it to decrease at a later date. No,
No, it's just on your tax rolls collectively.
We're out of time. Completely out of time.
Tonight's your night.
But the letter was waiting $70 for a month.
It says annual. Alright, we're not going through that again, we covered that.
All right, so.
So, yeah, at this time, resolution 1904 with the $70 increase, if you are inclined that that is going to be a motion to make, so moved, and that would be the effect of it. If that fails, you would have to introduce another motion with a different amount, not to exceed that $70.
So we need a motion
Is ready?
on the table. I can't make the motion, so.
So moved.
Motion made by Ms. Castro,
So why you guys voting now? It's already passed.
I'll
You're
second.
the only one who did that.
seconded by Mr. Lopez. Any further discussion on the matter? Roll call. Mike?
Paul? Yes.
Mr. Conklin?
No.
Ms. Castro?
Yes.
Mr. Aponte?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper? Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution 1905 is to use the non-ad valorem tax collection method through the county process. You understand that. That's the only way to collect money, but you do need to approve it by resolution 1905.
Motion made by Mr. Aponte, seconded by Mr. Cooper. Any discussion on that? All those, Mike?
No discussion.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye. Did you vote yes or no? You voted no on the resolution?
One no.
Oh, one no on the resolution as well.
At this time, it would be appropriate to close the public hearings on the budget public hearing.
So moved.
Second by Ms. Castro, second by Mr. Aponte. Any further discussion on the matter?